I'm going to do another math video today going over shapes. In my last video, we talked about two-dimensional shapes, which we talked about how they are flat shapes. So today we are going to focus on three-dimensional shapes. So three-dimensional, also known as 3D, those shapes stick out or they pop out. Just like in a movie, if you've ever seen a 3D movie, where you have to wear those cool glasses and then you get to see either the people or objects kind of fly out at you and you feel like you're in the movie, they're popping out at you. That's also three-dimensional. These shapes pop out. Whereas a 2D shape, two-dimensional, is flat. So as you can see here in this picture, this Super Mario looks flat, but this one is popping out at us. That's a 3D Mario. Elsa over here in the two-dimensional is a flat character, but in 3D you could see how she's popping out. So that's what that's the main thing to remember from two-dimensional versus three-dimensional. Two-dimensional are flat shapes, and three-dimensional shapes pop out at you. So we're going to be learning about that today. So in this chart over here, we're just going to review some of the 2D shapes that we learned. So we had a circle which has a curved side because it's not like a square where it has four equal sides where there are lines. This is just a curve, as you could see. A semicircle, it has a one side over here, the straight line, and then this side is our curved side, Our square has four equal sides. Our rectangle has four sides, two long, two short. Our triangle has three sides. Our pentagon has five sides. Our hexagon has six sides. Our heptagon has seven sides. Our octagon has eight sides. Our nonagon has nine sides. And lastly, our decagon has 10 sides. Now, we're going to go over some 3D shapes, some new words that you'll hear. They kind of look like two-dimensional shapes that you would be used to, like a sphere. You might say, oh, hey, that looks like a circle. But the reason why this is not a circle is because it's a three-dimensional shape. So this is popping out at us. So we have a sphere, a cone, a cylinder, a prism, a pyramid, a cube, and a cuboid. So we're going to be reviewing these new words that we just learned. So our first one is a sphere, just like how I just had stated in my last slide. So a sphere looks like a circle, but it's not. So a soccer ball is an example of a sphere. It's three-dimensional. A soccer ball, it's a real life object. It pops out at you. It's not flat like a piece of paper. It's a ball filled with air. It's not just a flat piece of paper. So because it pops out at us, that's a three-dimensional shape. So this is a sphere. It has a, just like how a circle has a curved side, a sphere has a curved surface. Here's another example of a sphere. So this marble over here is a sphere. It's not flat like a piece of paper. It's a three-dimensional shape. Our next one is a cone. So the ice cream is not considered to be part of the cone. I highlighted the part of the cone over here. So you would say, oh, this cone looks like a triangle, but it is not a triangle because it's three-dimensional in its shape. It pops out at us. Because imagine if we ate ice cream on a cone that was flat like a piece of paper. This is how our ice cream would look. That flat piece of paper would not be able to hold our ice cream. It would just fall right off and melt. So cones are a three-dimensional shape. They pop out at us. We're able to hold ice cream on top of them. Versus putting ice cream on a sheet of paper would never work. That's a flat shape. A triangle is a flat shape. It would never be able to hold ice cream. But a cone, which is a three-dimensional shape, would. A cone has a flat surface, which looks like the triangle, but at the top here, that's our curved. So it has a flat and a curved surface. Okay, we're moving on to cube. A cube, you may say, oh, it looks like a square, but it's not a square because this is also three-dimensional. A cube has a flat surface. It's not curved like a sphere. And a cube has 6 sides. So this is a cube in 3D. I'm gonna just put that. That's a cube in 3D. If this is a cube in 2D because it's laid flat. So if we would lay this cube flat and take it apart, we can see also how many sides it has. And it has 6 sides. So we would count how many squares we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it has 6 sides. So when we lay it flat like this, flat, remember, it's two-dimensional. But when we put it together and it pops out at us, that's considered a three-dimensional. Okay, now we're moving on to cylinders. So these are all examples of cylinders. So a Coca-Cola can, this Campbell's tomato soup can, and this is just our example of what a cylinder looks like. So a cylinder has 2 flat surfaces and a curved. So as you could see, our curved would be our circle, because our circle has a curved side. Okay, let's move on to our pyramid. Our pyramid, maybe you've seen these before in social studies classes. A pyramid looks like a triangle. However, it pops out at you. So if this was just a triangle, it would not be able to hold itself up like this. It would just be sand on the floor. But it's a three-dimensional shape. So a pyramid is made up of 4 triangles and a square. So we have our 1, 2 back here, and then we have this one on the side and this one on the side with 4 triangles, and then we have our square down at the bottom. So that's what makes up our pyramid. And our cylinder is made up of 2. It's made up of 2 circles, and it kind of looks like a rectangle. However, it's not a true rectangle because this and this is curved. Okay, so now this is considered to be a rectangular prism. So it looks like a rectangle, but it's not. A Kleenex box is an example of a rectangular prism. It's a box, it's filled with Kleenex, it just pops out at us. It's a three-dimensional shape. So just like how I just said, it's not known to be just a rectangle because a rectangle is a flat, two-dimensional shape, but a rectangular prism is a three-dimensional shape because it pops out at us. Another name for a rectangular prism is a cuboid. So just another thing to remember, a cuboid is also another name for a rectangular prism. And then lastly, the other shape to focus on is a triangular prism. Not sure if you've ever seen these candy bars before, but now you know, hey, that's the shape of a triangular prism. A triangular prism is made up of two triangles. You can see here 1 and 2. And then we have three rectangles, one on this side, one on this side, and one on the bottom. So we have 3 rectangles and 2 triangles make up our triangular prism. So that's the end of the shapes for 3-dimensional shapes that we're going to talk about today. So we're just going to quickly recap these new names that we've learned. So the main goal throughout all of this is just to remember these names for these shapes so that when you see them, you're able to identify them. So start over here. We have a sphere. And we said a soccer ball is an example of a sphere. We have a cone. So this ice cream cone would be an example of a cone. We have a cube. We have a cylinder. We have a pyramid, a rectangular prism, a cuboid, and a triangular prism. So the one thing that all of these shapes that we talked about today have in common is that they're all 3-dimensional. They all pop out at us. They are not flat shapes. So even though you may say, hey, that pyramid looks like a triangle. Nope, it's not, because a triangle is a 2-dimensional flat shape, whereas a pyramid is a 3-dimensional shape that pops out at us. Or, hey, that sphere looks like a circle, but it's not, because a circle is a flat shape and a sphere is a 3-dimensional shape that pops out at us. So that's the main takeaway for today, is just to remember that 2D and 3D, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, are different because 2-dimensional is flat and 3-dimensional pops out at us. And just practice to remember these names that we talked about today. Sphere, cone, cylinder, prism. We had rectangular and triangular. Pyramid, cube, and cuboid. Just remembering those names would really be great. And we are going to be able to practice these new skills, these new names that we've learned in my next video that I'll be creating.